They were angry. Republican Senator Ron Johnson voted against the jobs bill. Joins me right now. What did you think, Senator? I do want to get into the breaking at your office, but about what the vice president in particular was saying here. That's a little fiery, don't you think?
Well, it is. I mean, the sad fact of the matter, Neil, is that their policies haven't worked. And, let's face it, their policies have certainly been scaring the business community. It's why people aren't willing to invest, why we aren't creating jobs. So now they're just resorting to the tired old scare tactics and hoping to get Americans to vote for them in November by scaring them. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate.
But maybe it's resonating. I've raised with a couple of my guests already that the president and others siding with these demonstrators, trying to look at them as the left's Tea Party, if you will, is a way to sort of checkmate you. What do you say to that?
Well, certainly I understand the demonstrators' frustration. I mean, their policies haven't worked. And what's sad about it is this administration isn't willing to recognize that their policies haven't worked and aren't willing to reverse course. But for, as a job creator, as a manufacturer, it's pretty obvious to me why the policies aren't working. When you impose a $1.75 trillion a year cost of compliance in terms of regulations on businesses, when you have the highest tax rate in the world on businesses, it's not much of a mystery why global investment isn't coming to the United States, expanding our economy and creating jobs. It's just not a mystery.
What do you make of the fact that among some Democrats, particularly the Blue Dog Democrats, who are unanimous in looking for another way, not the president's jobs bill, which I guess is just deader than dead. They can pick apart and pick the features that they like, what have you. But a lot of them have been telling me what they favor is a way to bring that money that's sitting offshore home, the $1.5 to $2 trillion,
sure,
by giving a temporary tax holiday to businesses. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's a good idea. To me, it just makes perfect sense. If you give people a reduced tax or a tax holiday, you'll get the money back here for reinvestment in the economy. If you don't do that, the money's just going to stay overseas. You'll not get any revenue from it anyway.
But what if they don't reinvest it in the economy and they just give it back to shareholders, or they don't hire much as the criticism what happened last time? Not that these guys should have an edict to what they do with their money, social or otherwise, but that's the criticism, and that's why the president has had sort of a hands-off approach.
Well, Neil, if the money comes back to the U.S., whether the businesses reinvest it or they send it to their shareholders or even pay their executives,
they'll spend it, yeah,
in some way, shape, or form, those dollars will get recycled back in the economy and they'll help economic growth. It's not going to harm economic growth. It has a good chance of aiding economic growth. And that, in the end, is the #1 component of a solution. We have got to drive our economy forward. Without economic growth, we're not going to solve this problem. We're not going to be able to create jobs.
What happened in your offices? Who broke in? What happened?
Well, I wasn't there, but it's people that are highly frustrated that they can't find a job, and I understand their frustration. So we're more than willing to meet with these folks, but they do have to realize I'm in Washington D.C. right now, not in Milwaukee, and they got to kind of go through the standard order.
Did they
of
steal
making an
anything?
appointment.
What did they take? Anything?
No, my state director offered to bring them up, in groups, not as a large group, because our office is relatively small, and willing to sit down and talk with them. They had an attorney there. They really just wanted to get arrested. But again, we've reached out to these folks. I'm happy to meet with anybody. I meet with hundreds of constituents on a monthly basis, and happy to meet with those folks as well.
All right, Senator, weird stuff. Good seeing you again. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.